Hi, I'm Ted. Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to show you how I built these bifold closet doors out of some leftover oak in these ceiling panels from the bus. So I don't know if it's surprising or not, but years ago I spent 2 summers as a Shakespearean actor. And it was actually a pretty cool community. Again, a lot of younger actors, and we would rehearse the summer shows. It was a rep theater, so we'd rehearse the summer ones in early summer, late spring, and then we'd have the run of the shows through the summer. And it was cool because most of the actors lived there, and it was a dining hall. But at nighttime, we would go and we'd do these workshops. Kind of whatever actor had their specialty, and they would run these workshops for the rest of the cast, and it was pretty fun actually. And so Josh did this workshop on stage combat. That was sort of his thing. He was our fight captain. And so we did a workshop on found weapons, which was really fun. So he went into the prop room, just grabbed a bunch of random objects and set them out on the stage, put us into groups and said, all right, he taught us the basic stage combat moves and said, okay, here he just randomly hand you a bunch of things and say, all right, create a scene where these things become weapons. And they were like found weapons, an umbrella and a spatula and a pot and things like that. And so what became fun is to try to figure out the context for these found weapons. One was two cooks in the kitchen arguing over one-on-one sauce, so like the spatula and the pot became weapons. And in unconventional ways, right? Instead of hitting somebody while they try to put their finger in the sauce, you pick up the pot off the stove and they'd stick the finger in the hot sauce and stuff like that. 2 little old ladies at a yard sale getting a fight over an umbrella, something like that. But anyway, the bus project reminds me a lot of that, of found things. What can I make out of the stuff I've got lying around so that I don't have to spend a lot of money on materials that are expensive these days. And one thing you can see I kind of got laid out here is I need closet doors. And a lot of times you have louvered bifold doors because they just kind of open easier, and the louvered parts of it allows air to breathe so you don't get mold and moisture buildup. And I really toyed with the idea of building a louvered door, but I didn't have a lot of the material that I could have made the slats of. I mean, I could have, but just wouldn't be that efficient use of materials. And then, building the jig to cut all the angles, and I just thought, well, maybe that's a future project. But I wanted airflow, so again, this is sort of the oak pile that's, I don't know, it's just been holding up, thank goodness. So I still had some of this oak kicking around. I was like, all right, I'll make the frames out of this, and then these panels that came out of the ceiling, they've got all these little holes in it, and I used a small piece of it in the closet already to make sort of a breathing hole for the power center. And I thought, well, hopefully I can stretch that just enough to make panels for at least one of the closet doors. I'm going to build 2, but I don't think I've got enough for both of them. I'll have to use some 1/4-inch plywood, and that closet won't breathe as well, I don't think. So that's what we're doing. I've built I've sort of rough cut the frames. Again, I didn't put that in a video because you've seen me cut wood 1,000 times. Again, this is all rough cut. I had to join it and plane it. So now we're going to try to, I think I'm just going to use a Craig jig to join this together. Part of me toyed the idea about using all tongue and groove that I can use in my, like I would normally do with cabinet doors on my router table. But I don't think, Julie said she doesn't want a lot of contoured edges here because it makes it harder to dust. And I also, this is so thin I can't really fit it in like a panel. I'm going to have to, I think, cut a notch in the outside, and then probably just use some small sheet metal screws and screws into the back because I don't have a metal brake to sort of bend it over and make it thicker. So I think Craig jig is the plan, and then we'll spray paint that, poly these, and then route the back side of these, or cut a slot in the back and just screw them in. All right, so this one is 58 5/8, and half of 58 5/8 is 29 5/16. So I put a mark right here at the halfway point, and then these are 3 inches and 3.5. So half of 3.5 is 1 3/4 inches. So I'm going to put a mark 1 3/4 inches on each side. So I didn't have one halfway, so I'm going to pull these out. so they're the same. Need my speed square. Alright, now we figure out the best way to cut the groove in the backside to hold the metal screen. So think a 1/4 inch by a 1/4 inch groove, or a 1/2 inch maybe. I'd like to give myself a little bit of room. A 1/2 inch by like 1/4 groove on each one of these. So I'm going to put X's on all the sides. You know, if I've got my door layout like this, I need a groove at the bottom of this one, both sides of this one, and the top of that one. So I'll put a little X on all those grooves, so I know which ones to cut. We got a 3/4 inch bit on here, but I really only want to cut on the front side of it. So I'm going to set it to a 1/4 inch and run everything through, and then move it to another 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch and do it that way. And just get a better cut rather than trying to do all of it at once. Alright, now we'll drill some pocket holes in each one of the cross pieces. Okay, got the frames all put together. I sanded them down, put a couple coats of poly on them, and so now we're gonna cut the screens that we're gonna use for the panels. Cut the size. I hit them lightly with some sandpaper. And my sander just scuff up the edges a little bit, and then I wiped them down with some acetone. So now I'll paint them this flat black. Hopefully that will go well with oak. I don't know, I'm not really a good color designer. We'll see. Let that dry real quick, and then I'll do another coat. Alright, so we got the screens or the panels, whatever you want to call them. They're all painted and dropped in, so now I'm going to pre-drill the holes for the screws and screw them in. Okay, time to mount the hinges now. So bifold doors are like this, and then this is the one I'm going to put the pivot door on the right, so that's going to open and slide, and the other door is going to come in. So it says put the wide end of the hinges on the pivot door, so that's going to be this one. So put that in like that. I marked. I'm going to mark those holes just to be sure. That's right in the middle. But I have this little insertion bit, and you push on it, and this little metal piece at the end sits right inside the screw hole of the hardware and centers the pre-drill. Just kind of handy. I'm going to take the screw, put that in here. That centers it nice and center, I guess. I'll pre-drill this one. another screw. Good. And we'll repeat the process for the other two sides. Or for top and bottom, I guess. Okay. Put the other door evened it up. And we'll repeat the same process for the hinges on the other side. A little bit stuck. Now you're going to drill the holes for the pin guides, which is actually tricky, and I wanted to put it out to the end, but one thing I didn't consider when I put in the Kreg jig screws is the Kreg screws coming into here, and I need to drill 1.5 inches in there, so I need to come out a little bit further than I wanted to. I'm going to start this with a small bit. Then move to the bigger size. Hopefully it'll keep it centered. If I can't go up and down at all, I gotta stay nice. Get the depth right. I put the pin up there and put a mark on the bit with a Sharpie marker. Alright, this side's the stationary side, so put the stationary pin in there. This is the pivot end. You're going to put our wooden knob in, and I'm just going to put it in the middle here, so I just set it in the middle of that. Also, another thing you maybe notice, I like to put some bubble wrap down, and some of this packing stuff ever comes, I always save, and it's just a good thing to put down on the workbench just so you don't scratch up the surface once it's been treated and sanded and polished and all other good stuff. So I'm going to drill my hole here for my knob. Alright, so now we're going to line up a pin at the top with that hole there. Get the bottom peg to line into that. But that's the bifold door video. Pretty happy actually the way they came out. I like the contrast of the black and the oak. Gives it maybe a touch of elegance, even though it's repurposed junkyard stuff. Really, it's just the stuff that came out of the ceiling. That's still that oak I had kicking around. So pretty good for found material. So. Thanks for watching. Come along as always. Like, subscribe, do all those things that you do. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments. I'm always happy to answer them to the best of my ability. And we'll see you down the road. Thanks for watching.